Hello, I'm Tyler Tucker, and this is my audience. In today's world, getting a job is harder than ever. Most college students find themselves unemployed and entangled in spiraling student loan debts after they graduate from college. Therefore, getting a job is their top priority. But how do you get a job and stand out in today's world? Well, a first impression is key. First impressions are vital. And when does a potential employer see this first impression? Well, most people would say that your first impression with a potential employer is the first interview. But that's actually wrong. Your first exposure, your first impression comes when the potential employer reads your resume for the first time. So, today I have brought along a few different resumes for us to look over, because resumes are important. Resumes represent you in paper form. Therefore, your resume should highlight all of your strong suits and should represent you to your fullest. Let's take a look at this first resume that I brought with me today. And as we can see here, it's just chock full of information. And that is our first problem. According to Ellen Gordon Reeves, author of a great self-help book called Can I Wear My Nose Ring to the Interview? Catchy title, but it's a great book. I highly recommend it if you want to know anything about going to the job field or if you just want to know how to act professional. But anyway, she says that your resume should never be cluttered with information. Your sentences should be short and sweet. You shouldn't describe yourself in paragraph-long sentences, because this isn't an autobiography, it's a resume. It should be sweet and to the point. And I'm going to read an example from this resume here. Under the education section, I have the college that I attend, and then under this first indenture, it says, during the summer of 2012, I had the opportunity to study abroad in Greece and Italy with the Harding University Scholars Abroad program. But that's a good little nugget of information to include, but it's way too wordy. Instead of saying that, Reeves is saying that you should say something more simple to the point, such as, participated in honors study abroad program in Greece and Italy. See, it's a lot more short and to the point. And with these long, wordy sentences, an employer's not even going to read it. They're going to say, this is too long, and they're not even going to pay any attention to it. All right, our next problem with this particular resume is at the very top. And as you can see, the name is right here at the top, but it's small. It's barely distinguishable. And the most important piece of information on your resume is your name. When an employer gets done reading your resume, you want them to remember your name. So therefore, your name should be bold, centered, and it should be larger than all the other font on the page. Alright. Also, another problem that we have with this resume, according to Michael Feely of the Huffington Post, he says that your resume should never exceed one page. And as we can see, this page spills over, or this resume spills over into a second page. This is a no-no in the resume business, because for one, when it's too long, employers, they're not even going to read it. It shows that you're bragging on yourself, and it's not the standard, especially when you're getting right out of college. One page is the standard. So remember, one page. Now, let's look at the second resume that I brought along with us today. And as we can see here, the name is large, and it's also in a nice cursive font, and we've also got this nice border around. Aren't those nice? Well, they're no-nos. According to Ellen Gordon Reeves, she says you should never have any type of fancy fonts or borders, because they're distractors and they take away from the substance of the resume. And also, all resumes, most cases, they're scanned through computers, and if there's fancy writing and borders, the computer can't read them. So, avoid those. Our next issue with this particular resume is as we can see, it's spaced pretty good. It's not as cluttered as the first one, but there's this awkward white space gap here. And according to Michael Hyatt, author of another great self-help book, Platform, he says that you should always use white space evenly and distribute it evenly throughout the resume, because right here it's awkward. It's an awkward gap. So be sure to use white space to complement the resume. Now we can move along to the last resume that I brought along with us today. And this particular resume, this is my resume, and it implements all of the tips that I talked about earlier. As you can see, The information is evenly distributed throughout the resume. The name is bold and centered at the top. And we don't have any fancy fonts or borders. And also, the white space is used excellently to divide the segments. So, this particular resume is the format recommended by the Center for Professional Excellence at Harding University. I fabricated this resume under their supervision. The keys that I've mentioned here today are highly recommended by many well-known accounting firms and other prestigious companies across the country. So these keys work. So when you are making your resume, I highly suggest that you make sure that your descriptions are short and sweet. Make sure that your name is bold and centered at the top. Be sure that there are no fancy fonts or borders. Be sure that it is one page in length. And also be sure that you're using your white space to make the resume look nice. I believe that if you implement these keys to success in your resume, then you'll have success in your job hunt and your resume will stand out. Thank you.